Hi, so I'm so glad to be back on the podcast this week. First of all, to all my listeners and now watchers on our live stream and on our YouTube podcast, I just wanted to say hi and welcome to All About the Joy. And let me just say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate people who are also now just adding me because I've actually asked people to support me in that way. You'd be surprised. So many of my good friends or close friends had no idea that I've had a podcast for a year because I never told them. So, first piece of advice to everyone is make sure that you let people know that you actually are creating something if you want them to support you. So, thank you to all of you who have, especially those of you on LinkedIn. I am surprised by people who have added me on. So thank you. And I look forward to interviewing a couple of you who have reached out to me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you for that. Let me just tell you for more clarity where you can find me. If you're interested in seeing the live streaming show, it is on Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific. It is going to be on Facebook. It is on LinkedIn. It is on Twitch. It is on Twitter, and it is on, I'm missing one. I can't remember. Let me just see. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. Apologies. Yes. So basically, the major social media sites. And if you want to see where those links are, please go to atjoy.com, which is all about thejoy.com, but go to atjoy.com or to allaboutthejoy.com and you can find all of my socials at either space and also the podcast. And you can join us if you'd like during the live streaming show, or you can watch it at your own convenience because the recordings will stay up. So there's that whole spiel. So let me talk a little bit about the kind of idea of the live streaming show because I realize now that as you know, this is my third time doing it, and I'm going to be doing it every Thursday. And the idea is to have a guest or guests. I can have up to 9 or 10 people on the show. I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to do that, but it would be fun to continue having kind of a hangout with friends, kind of like you're, hanging out on the street. When I was growing up, you would hang out in the neighborhood, right? On the stoop or on your porch. And, people would come home for work and people would stop by and you'd have a drink or whatever and you would talk and people would just talk about what's going on. And I don't mean alcoholic drink. We were all way too young, although some people were probably drinking. But, you'd be drinking your Coke or your Pepsi or whatever, and you'd just be hanging out, talking to people. And then like the elders would do that as well, so there was kind of this cool vibe. And that's what I would like to create. It's just hanging out with friends, talking about some of the subjects that we're all interested in. For example, we will always talk a little bit about business or your work life, because so much of us spend so much time at work and doing businessy stuff. I want us to try to talk about some of those subjects and then try to find a way to make it more joyful, right? Or finding the light or the silver lining in those moments. And then the second half of the show will be talking about what I keep calling like life culture things, whatever's happening in the world or whatever's happening in our own personal lives. And I have a feeling it's always going to lean towards relationships, right? Like romantic relationships or relationships with families, because at the end of the day, that's what this whole kind of great life is about, right? Is how we connect to each other and who we are in moments of sadness and joyful moments. And so that's going to kind of be the format of the show. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to try to do some kind of quick questions. I haven't come up with a great title for that yet, but just kind of some rapid fire fun questions in kind of the honor of the Actors Studio. I'm not using those questions, but just kind of have different questions during the week that have to do with whatever happened that past week so that our guests can kind of reveal a little bit about who they are. And so I had a few of those this past week as well. So, and those will be linked in here in the show in a moment. And then the other thing I want to talk about is really important. I love the idea of a live show because it changes the dynamic of the people you're interviewing and even me as a host, right? To me, it's the difference between being on stage in a theater, watching a theater production versus going to a movie theater, right? You could be watching the same storyline, but if you're watching theater and you're watching a film, it's two different experiences, two different types of art form. Well, for me, podcasting and interviewing people separately or doing my own kind of podcast, like I'm doing this beginning by myself. There's nobody here. I don't have any guests on. It's a very different experience than if I'm live. Right. I'm a little bit more prepared. I have everything written out and I'm not sticking to a script, but I am trying to keep to my points time wise. So I say this all because as I get more people watching the show, which I don't care if there's one person watching or if there's more than that. I am always going to be respectful and kind and loving to people who take the time to come and be part of anything that I'm creating, whether I'm a dancer, an actor, or speaking on stage, talking about work stuff, management stuff, or talking about my book or whatever it is. I am always respectful and loving of the people that take the time to engage. With that said, this past week, I did a live streaming show. I had 3 people as guests, so there was 4 of us. I was producing the show. I was hosting the show. I had the questions. I was also trying to deal with the technicalities of it. And, eventually maybe I will have an ongoing producer and an editor and all of that good stuff. But I don't at the moment. And so people were coming into the chat, and one of the really great criticisms that I'm happy to take on is that I wasn't engaging with the chat room as much as I probably should be, that there was not enough acknowledgement that people were in the chat room. So let me say, number one, that is never going to be my intention. And as I went back to watch it again this morning, I realized I did say hi to people. I didn't say it as often as I could have. And my guests didn't feel comfortable enough to interrupt me to engage with the chat room. So I apologize. But I also want to say this. It's really important for me. I want people to understand that I will come and I always do. I go back out to the social medias when I'm done, and I always thank people, or I always acknowledge that they said something to let them know, to let you know that you've been seen. But as I get more people watching, or if I have more guests, because I think it's going to be more guests, right? I don't want to have such an ego that I think more people will be watching me. But what I want to say is this: it's not going to be easy for me to continuously engage. And I want to create good and decent content. And the reason why I'm doing the live streaming is so that there can be that kind of liveliness with the guests and the hosts and the chat room. So you can be watching something live, not something that's always so manicured and edited and perfectly aligned. And what I want to say also to some of the people that were kind of saying, you have to take care, you have to do, you know what? No, I don't have to do anything. Okay, that's number one. And I'll give you a great example. When I worked at this company, as the executive who was in charge of all the business stuff, right? I was in charge of the admin stuff, whatever. We had to design our letterhead. I'll never forget this because it was such a great learning lesson. And the creatives, I said we needed letterhead. All the creatives got in a room and they were starting to think about how to design because they were thinking about a big picture branding thing. I'm over here thinking like, dude, I'm the admin people. I just need letterhead. You know what I mean? I just want to send this out. And they didn't want just regular black and white with our address, whatever. These were like creative designer people. So they started designing all this stuff and it just looked really weird to me. And so I went and kind of complained, which is bad. Never complain, always suggest. And I said, this isn't going to work. Like I need to be able to fold this in threes. There needs to be room to write a letter. And I'll never forget this. One of the creatives looked at me and said, "Why are you being so linear?" Now, I didn't know what that meant at the time. I really didn't. but now I do. And I did soon after, because what they created for letterhead, which was part of their branding, was beautiful, magnificent. You will read whatever you got written on there because it was colorful and it was so well done. And we folded it differently, and we used these funky, cool envelopes. And it didn't cost any more or whatever. It was just beautiful, like something beautifully designed matters, right? What they meant by why are you being so linear is like, why are you thinking so like this? Why are you, and I'm making a straight line for those listening with my hands. Like, why are you thinking so kind of mediocre? Like, that's how it's always been done, but maybe there's a different way to do it if you just expand your mind, or if you just try something different, you know? So I say that because I know that there are a lot of people, not a lot, but there are people who are watching my show who come from a different place of live streaming. And I totally get it. Your whole thing is engaging with the people that are coming in the whole time, and more power to you. I'm not saying I don't appreciate my audience. I do. I hope they will keep engaging. I appreciate certain people that were engaging with the audience, with the comment section on their own, and we're kind of moving that along. So I appreciate that. But all I'm saying is this is a new avenue for me, and I want to create great content. So it's a 1 hour show, and that's what I want to keep it to, because I don't need it to be 3, 4. See, that's the difference. When we were on Haps, I was on this app before called Haps. These people were streaming for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. And part of their content was about people in the comment section. And I totally get that. I get it. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm actually presenting a show on stage. I'd love you to come on and be part of the audience. If you want to be on the show, hit me up. atjoy.com. Go into that contact area, send me an email, let me know that you want to be on the show. That's a whole different ball game. I would love to have people on the show. Now, I'm not going to have everyone on the show, but you see what I'm saying? Like, that would be a different ball game. So again, I am open and happy and excited to see how this grows or how this moves along. But I just want you to know what my intention is right now. I want to create content that you might want to listen to, think about, and that we can engage on, that you can, maybe say, I agree with that, but I don't. Kind of think about it, send me an email, or send me a DM, or, request to be on the show because you want to really have a conversation about it. That would be great too. So just an idea to think about. And the other part of this too, this is the hardest thing I've had to learn as I've gotten older. Just because you've been doing something a certain way doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. And it doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. I will always be respectful of and love anyone. This is since I was a dancer. Without the audience, you don't have a show. You know what I mean? At all, whether it's recorded or whether it's live streamed at all. So it doesn't matter, right? Respect for your audience comes in very different forms. And so I just want people to know that, and I want my audience to know what my concept is of doing the live streaming show. And look it, when I can hire a producer and I can hire somebody else and I can just do the hosting, that might change the game a little bit. But right now, just give me a little time to get with the flow of things. And I appreciate you so much for taking the time to listen and chime in and just be part of this thing that I'm trying to create, which really is a place to come and find some joy, a little pearl of joy, right? During your week. So with that said, I'm going to put in some clips from this live stream that we had last week. Last week, it was just yesterday. I'm so sorry. But by the time you're hearing this podcast, it'll be last week. And I had Rick Costa, of course, on the show. He's great. You can go to rickcosta.com to check him out. He's really a wonderful, good friend, and I appreciate him doing this with me and being patient with me as we walk through this. We also had Helen Wallace. She is a friend I actually met on HAP. She's in Scotland. Rick Costa would want me to make sure you know that she is from Edinburgh, and I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, Edinburgh, Scotland. But you can find her at helenwallace. I think it's co.uk or .uk.co. I'll put it in the show notes because I don't want to stop right now, but it's Helen Wallace .co.uk, I believe. And also Andrea Nunez. Andrea is one of my dearest and best friends. And she works for the Genesis Group. And if you look up the Genesis Group, you'll see that she is the CEO. And I forget, but she's the CEO, but she's also like the main consultant or whatever. And we've known each other for 10 plus years, but way more than that. So, okay, with that, thank you again and enjoy the next part of this. And hopefully I will catch you at the live show on Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Thank you.
Said to me, you are good enough to do this full time if you want to do it full time. And if he hadn't had that conversation with me, I wouldn't have started my own business.
Wow.
So, it just takes that one person to have a little bit of faith. And, I absolutely have the best job in the world. You're working with people when they're at their happiest, right? Whether it's wedding photography, nobody ever hires a photographer for a funeral, right? You're always working, whether it's, do you know what I mean? Whether that's, capturing something live on stage, whether it's musicians or comedians or whatever, just, capturing someone riding away the, laughter in the room, or whether it's photographing someone's wedding, you're always working with people at their happiest. It's an amazing job. Love it.
Okay, you do what you love and you're around happy people. Boring. No, I'm just kidding. I'm jealous.
The offset of that is that it isn't the best paying job in the world, and again,
that's what he's talking about.
Absolutely. You have to balance that. And there was a time where I had my own studio and I was working all the hours God sends and really running myself, ragged. Mm-hmm. And there came a point where I'm like, divorce and separation, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, I will work the bare minimum that I have to be comfortable. And that's what I do. I work the bare minimum.
Rick, your favorite, best job?
So my first job ever was McDonald's. And it was, in a way, both the best and the worst. The worst because the public treats you like total crap so much of the time. And I had to learn how to deal with that. But the good part of it was the hard part of it, because I was just like a snot-nosed brat who, let's just say that job humbled me quick, real big time. Right. But I learned so much from there, learned, management skills. They eventually got up to like manager stuff and all that. But I just learned so much how to deal with people. And even with the different managers, because it seemed like every year was a new manager. So many different managers with managing styles. My favorite one, his name was also Rick. Best boss ever.
Was
best
it
boss
though?
Yes. It was not Julio. It was Rick. But anyway, but yeah. So he would okay, next hour, whoever makes the most money, you get free lunch today. Oh, okay, cool, whatever. He'd do stuff like that. And it was always very encouraging, very upbeat. And he's like, you wanted to please him because he was so cool and he was upbeat and he was positive. But then we also had managers who were and just on your neck, man. It's just horrible. And I'm like, the best time was when we had the good boss that treated us well and made us feel good about ourselves and really pushed us. He didn't tolerate no laziness, but he pushed us, but also made sure we had a good time.
What is one of the worst things a manager or a supervisor has done, and how would they have changed? How could they have changed that dynamic differently, if at all possible? For example, this past week, a manager decided to walk into an argument, and instead of elevating the situation and fixing the problem with the power you have as a manager, she totally turned around and made it worse by screaming, by saying nobody asked her to come in and deal with anything. she heard the commotion and came in. And I kept thinking to myself, like, if you are someone who is an executive, you're in a management position, you should be able to understand your role in that type of situation.
And then I had my last like job that I had been asking for promotion for several years, which now, thank God, praise Jesus, I did not get.
Oh my God, I remember this.
But anyway, so my boss had promised me, he's like, the next, time this role comes up, it's yours for sure. I remember like, having that face-to-face conversation, and he's like, I know you can do it, and blah, blah, blah. And they ended up promoting one of my peers, who had been at the company, like not as long as I was. But before they told her, they called me into the office to make sure that I would be cool. They're like, we just want you to know that we're promoting her. We want to make sure you're okay.
I remember the text message. But didn't you end up training her?
I did end up training her. She ended up and she ended up sitting like right in front of me. Literally, right. I looked at her every day, like before she was kind of down the hall or whatever. And she was lovely. Right. And I said, I'm not going to be, rude or mean to her in any way. It's you guys that are the problem.
Right.
You specifically, this particular manager. And then, I don't know if you remember this part, Carmen. They didn't really give her a whole lot of support. Like I trained her in the things that I knew, but there were other aspects of the job that she needed other training on that she never really got. So they demoted her.
Oh, wait, didn't you leave by then though?
No, I left right after that.
Oh my God. I remember that time. After
that, but it just was emblematic to me. Like one of the reasons she got promoted is because her actual sort of direct manager that she reported to advocated for her, to get the promotion. Didn't really advocate for the support that she needed to really like follow through and be successful at it. But she really did advocate for her. And my boss, who was sort of the big boss of the whole office, did not, he just...
Okay, can I just say that he was an ass? I hated him.
We all hated him, and still do. But if it didn't benefit him directly in some way, he wasn't going to advocate for it. And then just the way that it was handled all the way around, from like talking to me about it first, I'm sure they thought that was like, oh, we're going to keep everything really smooth. And I just thought, that you're not doing the right thing because you're coming to me first. Like, why are you coming to me to smooth this all over for you? And then I just rubbed me. I mean, that was one of the sort of, there were a lot of reasons why I wanted to leave. But when they demoted her, I was like, I cannot believe this company and these people at this office. Like, this is insane.
But you were also way overqualified for what you were doing. And that was kind of one of the interesting parts of your story that I kind of talk about sometimes when I do some speaking events. It's like, if you as a supervisor or a manager don't notice the talent in front of you, how can you possibly think that that person's going to stay happy when you can't even acknowledge or see that somebody has so much talent and skill and is deserving of a next step? And what I notice is a lot of people who are in management positions tend to not be people who actually know how to manage. It tends to be a supervisor or a boss who wants to give someone some kudos or a title. Like, just because you're a great graphic designer, I'm sorry, and you were great doing the last project does not make you someone able to now manage a team of 25 people. That's nothing against graphic designers. It's just the world that I used to be in, and it's like, that also is something that drives me insane. If you want to give kudos to someone, you can just say motherfucking thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you. You did a great job. And then give them a bonus,
Yeah, give them money.
Titles and jobs they can't do. What did you say, Andrea? I'm sorry.
Just give them money. Don't subject other people to them.
Okay, but people don't give money because they don't got it. So they end up doing that. They end up giving them, we really believe in you.
They got it.
Huh?
I said they have it.
You know what I'm telling you, maybe your people, I know why people do this, because they don't have money and they think that's a way to placate somebody who's been working hard and does a good job. And actually it ends up screwing people over on the back end. It ends up screwing over your company. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the reason why I'm brought into a company is because the manager sucks. And the manager sucks because they don't know how to manage.
Yeah.
And when you ask what your background is, and it's like, I played chess. Okay. Like, great.
I went away and bought a CD of the greatest hits of a musician that I'm a really big fan of that wasn't really his thing, without me knowing.
Okay.
And then started quoting lyrics from one of the songs. And I was like, okay, this person's taken an interest in something. That, do you know what I mean? Like, that meant something because they'd taken an interest in the thing I was interested in. And of course, music's my thing, right? So that was do you know what I mean? I'm not a particularly romantic, mushy type person, but that was okay, this is
I don't find that surprising at all. Like,
I say that, but I'm a Gemini. I'm both.
Oh my God, you and Andrea, the music and the Gemini thing, like she goes to every concert, like you both should. Now you know each other, connect, because she needs a new best friend now too. So
I'll send you pictures of my comic book later.
Hey, I'm the comic book geek. I want to see it too.
Everybody except Carmen's getting to see it.
Well, it's been nice having this conversation with my former friends. We'll be moving on now to a single show again. Quick question, Rick. I'm going to start with you. Angela Bassett or Jamie Lee Curtis?
Angela Bassett.
Andrea?
Same question?
Yeah. Angela Bassett or
Angela Bassett.
Really? Okay.
All day, every day, for anything.
Helen?
Both. Can we not have both? Can I be
not at the Oscars, you can't. one did not. Yeah. It's Angela Bassett every day. I mean, that's my answer too. But I was happy for Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know that Jamie Lee Curtis deserved the Oscar for that performance. But I understand why they gave it to her. But yeah, I'm Angela Bassett. So, okay, this one's harder. Oh, look at Kevin, Jamie Lee Curtis, another friend. Let me just write that down. That is no longer a friend. Let me write that down. No, it's okay. Okay, Will Smith or Chris Rock?
Oh, God.
Go ahead, Rick.
Believe it or not, I'm going to go with Will Smith, even though I'm upset what he did, but I'm still going to go with Will Smith. Okay.
Andrea? Will Smith or Chris Rock? You can explain why. You don't have to like whatever.
Chris Rock, because I like a comedian. There you go.
Okay. Helen?
I'm conflicted. These are hard. These are hard questions. What he did wasn't okay, so I'll say Chris Rock.
Wait, what did you take the first part?
What Will Smith did wasn't okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah. You know what? I was like, up until I watched the Netflix Chris Rock's, show on Netflix, I was Chris Rock 100%. Mm-hmm. And then I watched, and he had every right to do what he did. He had absolutely every right to do what he did. Clearly he was hurt, whatever. But I'm kind of like, both of them, it just made me sad. Mm-hmm. Like I would pick neither of them at this point because I'm just sad that these two talented, beautiful, brilliant men are in the thick of it. So, and still can't move through it. But yeah, I had to bring it up because I just thought it was, okay. So if I say hot chocolate, what would you want with it? Or what would you put towards if I said hot chocolate and Rick, go ahead.
I actually don't like hot chocolate. Don't hate me, but I don't like hot chocolate.
That's not, at least I said hot chocolate and
vanilla ice cream. I don't know.
Andrea, this is what Rick does every time.
It's over for us, Rick. I'm sorry. I can't do it for someone who doesn't like hot chocolate.
See, Andrea had you right there. You don't like hot chocolate. Andrea, what's the right answer? Hot chocolate and
like a nice little butter cookie of some kind.
Wrong answer, but okay, I can see that wrong answer. Helen,
you said hot chocolate. Immediately, what came to my mind was, "So you win again, you win again. Here I stand again."
Okay, I don't know what this is. Who is that? Who is that?
Hot Chocolate.
Oh, it's a band.
Oh, God,
awesome.
yeah.
That's a good answer. Yeah. I was thinking hot chocolate and Bailey's. Like that's how I like my
Oh, nice.
Come on.
With some squishy cream on top.
I don't like chocolate with my alcohol. That's a no for me.
Okay.
Bailey's hardly counts as alcohol. It's minimal.
It's like Bailey. You can drink Bailey's by itself with a little ice. You know what I mean? I don't have any other questions. Do you guys have anything you'd like to share or talk about?
And we're at the 1 hour mark. So hey.
We are at the 1 hour mark. Rick, I'm going to put your website up again, rickcosta.com. But if you go to rickcosta.com, it's not just about your show. It's about all your stuffage and all your swag and everything
all
else.
Different stuff. All kinds of different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Helen, can you talk a little bit more about your what is the jury thing I saw? I saw a couple times you were on live streaming while I'm at work. But so what is that about?
So once a month. Okay, so what happens is I've got a radio show. People submit their music and they want it to be played on the radio show, but I can't play everything. Right. So we've decided to do a thing called Jukebox Jury, where we have a panel like this and we open the inbox and we listen to some of the submissions. We listen without checking it first. It's, we're going in blind without knowing what we're getting.
Okay.
And everybody on the panel, we listen, we give our opinions on it, and then we decide whether it's a hit or whether it's a miss. Whether it's...
I love that.
Wow. Okay. Nice. No, that's cool, but I would be devastated if I was a miss. Yeah.
There have been a few misses.
Yeah. Do you listen to them prior to the inbox?
No, that's what I'm saying. I open it blind without knowing. That's part of the fun. There's no point in me knowing what's coming, right?
Raw, fresh and raw. You have no idea what's about to happen.
Oh, Rick, you're on the show too?
I was on the last one, yeah.
He was on the last one.
That is so cool. Can anyone be on the show? Like, will you invite me to be a hitter?
You have to like music. That's the prerequisite.
Yeah,
I hate music lover.
You know what? You really got me there. I hate music.
So bad.
But Andrea loves music. So go to your website.
Yeah, like I say, it's once a month, so it's usually like a Friday, and it's the time. It's getting the timing right, because obviously I've got a time difference, so it's usually kind of 11:30 in the evening my time. It's getting late my time, so it's like that's why you're saying it's at work your time, because there's such a huge.
No, I was laughing. I was like I got the notification note. I was like, I can't go on.
You've got to be reminded, it's like you're talking after 1 a.m. by the time I'm finished that, right? So it's hard to go later, but
so people, you can go visit Helen at helenwallace.co.uk. It's on the bottom there. And also, what is your, I don't want to mess it up. What is Leggy? What is it? Your
bio.link/Radio Leggy.
It's Radio Leggy.
Radio Leggy. Yeah.
Radio Leggy. It's right there in the whatever that's called, ticker. And then Andrea, although my ex-friend Andrea works at whatever company and does whatever she does, whatever. Oh, I can't find her link. Woe is me. No.
I'm just here as a passenger.
She's suddenly not going to be able to find the comic book either all of a sudden.
Right. Andrea works you're the CEO, aren't you, of the Genesis?
Yeah, that's what they tell me. Anyway.
And the head consultant or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, hit her up on her socials, which she does not have, but go to the website. And I
not hit me up on my socials.
She has no socials. So it's the Genesis Group, and it's spelled a little weird. Wait, what's the reason for the spelling you told me once?
You're putting me on the spot.
I'm sorry. I thought you told me once.
Like Genesis, like new and systems. So new systems.
Oh, okay. That's why you did it, right. Genesis is new and systems.
Yes,
right.
Our founder did it.
So check her out too if you want to, but she's not my friend. So I don't know why you would want to. If you want to be with somebody who's a loyal, good friend, you could check me out at carmenlisette.com or aatjoy.com or allaboutthejoy.com. Visit, add all of us on your YouTube and all that good stuff. And next week, we're going to have a guest. And I think I'm just going to do one-on-one. I might have Rick on as well, but I do have a cool guest that wants to come on next week. And so we'll see how it goes. And we'll keep developing this as we go along. And I'll do better with trying to figure out my video thing and also in the chats. So thank you for your patience and your support. You guys are amazing. And I'm so glad you guys have been here. So thank you. Guys want to say bye? Because I'm going to stop the stream. Bye, everyone. Have a great one.
Bye, ta-ta.
Bye, everyone in the chat.
See you guys. See you next time.
Thanks for stopping by All About the Joy. Be better and stay beautiful, folks. Have a sweet day.